well, welcome to Fusion Strong. And Fusion Strong really is a chance for us to really get into the weight bearing exercises. We're going to start with our feet just past hip distance apart, and we're going to lift the left heel and then the right. And we're switching our weight over, left to right. And making it soft, making it light. We're going to do lots of work with joints, with mobility, with functional movements, with a little bit of a twist. So it's that movement, left to right, heel to heel. Shift the weight. Notice where your core turns on and make sure you don't fall all the way over. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Now heels in, toes out. Lift the heels and pop the knees to the side. We're not shifting the weight. It's more the movement in the joints. So it's this external rotation through the thighs, softening the knees, working our feet, working our ankles. Now we're going to add a little shift. So it's almost like a heel march, but we're keeping the knees pointed out to the side. Heel to heel, knees to the side. 5, 4, 3, 2, and now we bring the toes in, heels out. It's this awkward half P pose stance. But we're going to start off with just buckling one knee, just the left. Drop it in and push the heel out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now the right knee. Bring it in, push it out. So the heel lifts up, drooping the knee in towards the center. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now they're going to go side to side. They're taking turns, left to right. Keeping the knees close together, the heels out. Staying nice and tall through the spine. And 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to do one more variation. Knees out, drop them in. Squeeze up and out. This is going to feel a little different around the ankles potentially. So go as low as your body feels capable and stable. 4, 3, 2, and let's take the toes forward, but bring the feet in just underneath the hip bones, and we're going to lift the left heel and do a little hip bounce. So that left knee is bent, our hips going for a little bounce. 4, 3, 2, and we switch. Stay down onto the left heel. Right heel is lifted, right knee is bent. Just a little hip bounce. You can use your hands on your hips to make sure you're feeling more connected in your body. And now we're going to switch. So again, it's kind of like a heel march, but I want you to think about pushing the hips out to the side. So we're changing the dynamic of the movement by adding that movement through the core, through the hips. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Now simple heel raises, calf raises, but we're going to angle the heels in just a little. Not all the way, but just a little. We're going to lift up and down. Squeeze up and down. You can go for a little bounce or go all the way up, all the way down. You decide. Figure out what works best in your body. Hands can do whatever they need to support. 4, 3, 2, and let's bring it in, toes forward. So now your feet are about at fist distance apart, hand distance apart, and we're just going to gently let those knees wobble left to right. And with this knee wobble, of course, comes the ankles. The ankles get to roll a little bit, so rolling from the left to the right side of your foot. Don't forget to breathe. Breathing's always good. And 5, 4, 3, 2. How about the Tootsie Roll? Go the knees forward, out and around, and back. Forward and around and back. So just a side view, forward, around. Forward, around, and back. And we switch. Go around and back and forward and in. Keep those knees moving for 3, 2, and rise up, left leg down. We're gonna start adding some weights in just a moment, but first we wanna activate these outside hips and get more into the quads and the glutes. So take the left toes to the side. Option 1, just step it in and out. Option 2, little tap. Option 3, take it up a little higher, stabilizing through the core. Hug those ribs in. Keep that little lift through the crown of your head. Use the exhale. Exhales sometimes give that little extra oomph, but honestly, just find a way to breathe in sync with the movement that's yours. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Now we're gonna step it wide. Before we switch sides, give me a little Elvis legs, a little wobble. You got the wobble. You can add a little lean left to right, but make this all about loosening out through the joints, relaxing, and of course, being a little silly, because silly is part of this exercise. 4, 3, 2, rise up. Shift the weight onto the left leg. Option 1, tap it in. Option 2, just a little tap. Option 3, kick it up. Now what we're not doing is kicking and leaning. We're trying to keep the torso stable. So this is actually challenging our range of motion through the outside of our hip joints, our glutes, possibly parts of our hip flexors and quads, depending on the angles that you're taking. But the goal is to stay nice and tall through the crown of your head. Hands can do whatever they need to for balance and support. Woo. Speaking of balance, don't forget to breathe for this one. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now take the legs out, keep them nice and wide. We're gonna do a little bit Elvis leg, but we're gonna add a little extra here in just a moment. Go for that little lean left to right. 5, 4, 3, 2, and now it's a little angle in. So lift up the right heel, point that knee inwards, and you soften the standing leg. And we switch. You can make them small and fast, or slow and deep. Hands can do whatever they need to stabilize and support balance. You can stay at the same level or add a little dip. All of these variations are really up to you to play around with. See what feels good, feels what challenges you. 5, 4, 3, 2, and let's bring it up. And it's this opposite heel to opposite knee kick. Don't actually kick your knee. We're just making sure we've got our joints primed for some of the heavier stuff. Stay with me for 4, 3, 2, and release. Now we're gonna work our way up into our core, which is the first time we're gonna grab our kettlebell. So I've got an 7.5 kilos. Find a weight that challenges you. Let's start with option 1, all of us. So heels down, nice and straight. And we're just gonna side bend, bring it up. Inhale, exhale. What we're not doing is hiking the opposite shoulder up. Inhale, exhale it up. Inhale, exhale. Using those obliques, holding onto your core system. Keep going. I'm just gonna show a side view because we're not bending forward. So example, we're not doing this version or leaning back, just to the side. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale it up. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna switch sides. Same thing, we're gonna stay with option 1, which means our heels are down underneath our hips. Inhale, exhale. Let's focus on the precision of the movement versus adding more challenge. Inhale, exhale it up. Remember, it's a side bend, not a front or back bend. And you're not actually using the arm to pull up. So it's not a hike up with the arm. The arm is just hanging. Just make sure you keep a grip. Do not drop your kettlebell on your toes. I can vouch that that does not feel good. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to go back to the other side in just a moment, but with a different variation. But first, let's add a little bit of extra for the legs. Heels in, toes out. We're not going super low, but we're doing it in 3, 2, 1. Pause, rise up. 3, 2, 1, and rise up. 3, 2, 1. Squeeze up. Really push through those heels. 2 more rounds. 1, 2, 3. Pause. I've reversed the count. Come back up. 3, 2, 1. Pause. Rise up. Switch back to the right. This time, we're going to bend the right knee and lift up the heel. So I'm not moving forward or back. I'm keeping my feet in line with each other, but I'm lifting up my heel. So the trick here is I'm going to bend to the right without sticking my hip out. Inhale and exhale, squeezing it up. Now what I do go a little bit backwards so I don't keep whacking my leg. If I go perfectly straight, I hit my calf. So I go just a little bit back with my arm, but not my spine. I'm focusing on this being a side bend and not letting that outside left hip move. Inhale and exhale. Don't forget, it's not just the obliques. You're pushing with that right ball of the foot. Resisting gravity, pushing up and away. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We switch sides, same thing. Bend the left knee, but don't step it forward or back. I'm having my kettlebell slightly behind my calf so I don't just keep hitting my leg because that is annoying. Tall. Inhale, exhale it up. I see sometimes people kind of tilting their hips. Try not to do that. Really focus on keeping the hip lock. Exhale up. Exhale up, inhale down. Contracting those abdominals on the exhale to pull your whole weight and the kettlebell back up. Don't worry about counting. Focus on precision, control, and stability. Because we're almost there. I almost fell over. 4, 3, 2, and 1. This time, bring it in front, heels in, toes out. We're going to soften the knees. Don't come super low. Now, don't rest the weight against your belly or your arms. Have them slightly in front because you're going to drop down and we're going to wiggle the hips. So it looks a little silly, but guess what? I'm all about the silly. So tapping toes, left to right, left to right. Keeping the weight stable. Now we start to shift the weight left to right. Staying tall. And stay with me for 5, 4, 3, 2, and center. Bring it down low, and we pulse. Now when we pulse, we're pushing our heels into the ground, keeping the toes just very lightly off the floor. Little pulse. Don't know about you, but my quads are warm. Stay with me a little longer. 5, 4, 3, 2. Give me a rise up, toes forward. Don't bring your feet closer together, just bring the toes forward. We're gonna come down, not quite halfway, but low that we feel our stretch in the hamstring. And we're gonna pull the elbows wide and bring it to our chest. So side view, don't arch the back, pull tailbone forward, drop, pull elbows out. Pulling the belly up and away from the floor. exhaling up and out. 4, 3, 2, and release, but don't drop that kettlebell. Come back up. Bring the feet a little closer together. We're gonna give the kettlebells just a quick break so that we can do a little bit of mobility with the smaller weights. So, and when I say mobility, it's movement, it's just movement. So small handheld weights, mine are 3 kilos each. So I don't recommend going too high because you'll burn out your shoulders like I often do. So simple movement to start, just bicep curl. And just all we're doing is bending from the elbow, squeezing up and down. Keeping those shoulder blades down and back. 5, 4, 3, 2, and now we're going to bring the palms up. Lock those elbows in tight. Palms come close. Squeeze out. Shoulder blades are drawn down and back. Now when we're doing this, we're not arching the back, but we're letting the chest move forward. So it's not one of these, it's chest gets to lift and move. 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Don't drop those weights. Give your shoulders a quick little shake. So we're gonna add a whole bunch of movements we kind of started to do in the warm-up and bring them together with the weights. So let's start with the legs. Just a little side to side, soften the knees. Add the hips. Shift your weight. Now start to add the arms. So when my right hip moves down, my right arm goes with it and my left pulls up. And I wiggle. I can even go for a little walk. Don't worry about how this looks. And we're keeping pulling the elbows back, not flaring them out, pulling them back. So not one of these, elbows in. Let those ribs move. Let those hips move. You can just stay put. Get those knees wobbling. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Release meaning don't drop the weights, but we switch directions. This time it's about the triceps. Press the palms up. Elbows point to the sky. Don't flare them out. And don't arch your back. Pull those ribs in, staying nice and tall. Tricep press straight up and down. Exhale it up and down. Using your breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now come halfway, and a little pulse. Just a little pulse at the halfway mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, and bring it forward. And roll the shoulders. Now we put it down. We're going to switch back to our kettlebell because I wanted to mobilize a little bit more with the upper body because we're going to add 2 different movements together at some point. So grab your kettlebell. So first up, deadlift, but we're going to go for a version of a single leg deadlift. Both hands get to hold the weight and we step back with the left leg. And I don't mean a lunge step, just a simple step and push into the ball of the left foot and straighten the leg. So we're squeezing up into our glute, but we're going to now bend forward and that right leg has to stay straight and our spine stays long. So this is where I'm shifting my hips back. I can soften my right leg a little bit if I need to, if my hamstring's super tight. Flat back, exhale, squeeze up. Now, if you don't feel comfortable sticking your butt back, stay here and just bend forward. I find I'm more nervous with this variation because I feel like I'm going to fall on my face because of the kettlebell weight. 4, 3, before we switch legs, now we step back that same left leg into a lunge, switching our grip into our left hand, lean forward, chainsaw, pull it back. Tuck those elbows in close to your ribs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Really step up. I don't know about you, but my right leg is like, ah, mamma mia. Okay, so back to the single leg deadlift. Both of our hands hold the weight. Step back the right leg. Not a lunge, just a simple step. Nice and tall. Don't arch into your back. Lean forward a little bit to get started. Flat back. Exhale up. Inhale, exhale up. Inhale, exhale. Using your breath, figure out which variation works best for you. Keep the hips parallel and pointed in the same direction. Don't tilt. And the arms are not doing any lifting. They're just making sure you don't drop the weight on your foot. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch the weight into the right hand. Step back that right leg even more. We reach forward, chainsaw it back. And again, don't worry about speed. Worry about rhythm, your own tempo. I'm gonna switch angles so I can look in front. Elbows come close to the ribs, not flaring them out to the side. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Step it up. Drop the weight. Grab a hold of your bum cheeks and give yourself a shake. No, you don't have to grab your bum cheeks unless you really want. Shake it out. 4, 3, 2, and now just a little turn. Let your spine move. Let the knees start to move. We're just shaking all of it out before we go back into the next one. 4, 3, 2, I'm not counting properly, that's okay. And come back through center. Tick-tock the hips left to right. We're gonna do a little preparation for the next one because we're gonna go into kettlebell swings. Oh, and I want us to go between two-handed and single-handed, okay? So let's bear that in mind. So first, gonna go through the dynamics of a kettlebell swing. Obviously, you're gonna have to figure out your dimensions, but for me, this is an angle that feels weird sometimes. So I drop my bum back like I'm sitting on a chair or avoiding sitting on a chair. And I let my hands come down, kind of between my legs like woot woot, but flat back. I see sometimes people arching, flat back. And then I use my hips to thrust back up and my arms just follow. Drop it down and squeeze it. Drop it down, squeeze it. Next one down, I want you to stay and tap the feet left to right. Get a little silly if you want. 4, 3, 2. And now it's time for the kettlebell swings. Come up. So from here, you don't have to go really big. In fact, I encourage you never ever to go higher than the shoulders with your hands in the kettlebell. So let's start. Drop. And you can start small. This is a very respectable kettlebell swing. You can go a little higher. Drop the hips a little lower. Now brace the drop of the kettlebell with your abdominals. Keep going. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we're gonna go for single arm, but I realize I'm eating hair, so give me just a second to tie my hair back, because that's the other thing. Hair gets in the way. So we're gonna switch left to right. I like the variation where the other hand comes out to brace you. Some people just let the arms swing. Some people put their hand on their belly. So this is my favorite. So I'm gonna start up. I'm gonna swing down. And I literally just switch arms, switch hands. Make sure you have a grip before you let go with the other hand. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop it down for a moment. Use your hands on the kettlebell. Bring your feet a little closer. You're going to actually drop down into a yogic squat, malasana. So stay here for 3 breaths. Get as low as you can. And then we're going to actually grab our kettlebell and hold it by what they call the horns at the top. And you're not gripping it unless you're worried about grip because it's slippery. Then go ahead, grip it, but make sure it's at the kind of right by the top here, okay? So now, right now my elbows are resting on my knees, so I'm not really working. Now I'm working. Whew. And I'm gonna come up. We're gonna do 10 of these. Go as low as you can and see how I'm hovering the weight away. If you wanted to go really wide, you can. If I do that, I will fall on my face. So bring it out in front, drop it down, and squeeze it. Make sure you're not arching into your lower back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, good news. 7, 8, 2 more, stay with me. Last one. Ugh. Oh. Those work your core more than you realize, especially if you're making sure that you brace on the way down. Now we're going back to deadlifts, except feet are level just slightly past the hips, flat back. Exhale, squeeze up. And honestly, don't make this about how low can you go. Keeping the back flat. Bracing the abdominals for each movement, both down and up. Give me 2 more. Last one. And we're gonna come all the way onto the floor. Whew. How are we doing? I'm out of breath. But we're gonna use both the kettlebell and our smaller weights. But let's start getting our equipment close by. Does anyone else remember that song? So we're gonna come all the way onto our back. We're gonna use our small weights. We're gonna take our hands up with our wrists over our shoulders. Wrists are shoulder width apart. We're not bending, we're not flaring the elbows. Let's start with option 1, where we just use the arms, we reach up and over, but we're not letting the ribs flare up. Push the ribs down so that we're engaging the abdominals, and exhale back to the sky. This is your option 1. In fact, even doing this without weights can develop a deeper awareness of the core, the abdominals. That was a really lame accent, bear with me. Now, the next layer, bring the legs up. Now, the minute we bring our knees higher than our hips, we're not using any core power. So try to keep the knees either just above the hips or even slightly lower. Option 1 of option 2 is opposite arm, opposite leg. So my right arm is gonna go in my left leg. And I'm gonna squeeze back. And then I switch. So, single leg, single arm, moving kind of in rhythm, where I inhale to extend and exhale to bring it back. Option 3, now please keep in mind, we're trying to hug those ribs down to the ground, not let them flare up, is both arms, both legs, but don't bring the knees all the way in. That just turns your abs off. Inhale, exhale. Trying to keep those ribs connected to the ground. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release those feet down. Chest flies. Take the arms out, but don't let them rest on the ground. Exhale it back up. Now, if you still want to work the core, just keep your legs in a tabletop with the knees slightly lower than the hips. Inhale, exhale it up. Let's give me two more. Last one. Now we're going to take the weights off to the side. We're going to come onto our belly. Give me 1 second. My hair is definitely in my way now. We're going to come onto our belly, onto our forearms. Come all the way down onto your forearms. It's our plank challenge song. We will rock you. So what does that mean? It means do whatever you need to stay in a plank. So it can be forearms, knees. Just don't arch your back or round or take your hips back. Try to find a low level here. When I say low, it's a long extension through the spine. To add challenge, you can pull your elbows towards your knees, a little contraction. You can see this little movement, but I'm not rounding and I'm not pulling my tailbone all the way forward. This is one option if you're staying on your knees and forearms. The next one would be getting onto your toes, but don't stick your bum up and don't drop the hips down. Once here, stay stable, push the floor away, or add a little shimmy forward and back. Always, always keeping the belly button pulling away from the floor. You could even go for little hip wiggles. The goal here is, even if you're tired, just drop to your knees. Or maybe switch where your arms are, get onto your hands. But if you're on your hands and the knees, don't dip the hips, don't shift the hips back. Get up onto your toes. You could walk the plank. This is actually one of my favorite ones. Keeping the back nice and flat, keeping the belly pulling up and away from the floor. Some of you might have more energy. Go out to the mountain climbers or get back onto your knees. Maybe it's your forearms. Maybe it's your toes. The goal is to stay here in a plank position as long as you can until the song is done. Blech. The good news, that song is done. But we're going to come into seated. We're going to take the legs out to the side. Give your legs a little wiggle. Don't kick your kettlebell. Give your legs a wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now drop the movement of the legs. Get into the ribs. Just a little side to side. Add a little reach. Now reach forward. Lean forward a little bit. Bring it back and forward. Bring the hands to the thighs or the shins. Add a little sweep. So our chest leads towards the right. Scoop it forward and up through the left, down through the left. Scoop it around and back. Three more. 2. And come in. Bring those knees just past the hips. I need to shift my bum. And we're going to drop both knees over to the right. And the goal here is to try and do this without using your hands. Over to the left. Now this is a really tight hip, so you'll notice that I can't get as low on my bum, but that's okay. Switch sides. Right And our feet are a little flexed, so we're keeping our ankles kind of engaged, active. Switch sides. Now, the next time we go to the right, we're going to stay there, and we're going to rock into the hips. Just a little rock forward and back. A little forward and back, rocking. And switch sides, going over to the left. And we rock, and ooh, sorry, my hip just did a little weird popping noise, haha. But we rock into the hips. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and let's bring the legs forward. And some of you know this move, but I'm going to describe it again. I call it the moonwalk. I know it's not a Michael Jackson thing. We're going to sit nice and tall, and we're going to shift our weight and walk on our bum. And bring it forward. Make sure when you go back, you lift your bum up high enough that you don't, lose your pants. And come through center, nice and tall. Bring that right knee in and turn, twist, hug to the right. Now try not to slouch in. We're pushing our spine and the crown of the head up to the sky. Come out of the twist by reaching that right hand down and in, grabbing your foot, interlacing the fingers, lift up, and we're hugging in towards our chest. And I'm going to shift angles. So we're hugging in as close as we can. Maybe even getting that foot into the crook of our elbow. Nice and tall. And 4, 3, 2, and bring that foot down into the center here of your groin, lifting tall. Turn towards the long leg and start to walk forward with your fingertips, but not rounding through the spine. So we're pulling a tall chest, tall crown of your head forward. So it's not really a full lean down. And now we forward fold. Now we let go. Now we go all the way down. And when I say all the way down, it's really just all the way down that your body lets you, while giving yourself a little bit of a challenge. And slowly bring it back up. And we switch sides. Bring the left leg in, nice and tall. Reach, hug, and twist, and lean to the left, pulling your spine through to the sky. And I just mean, upward, upright. Come out of that twist, reach the left hand over and down and in, grabbing your foot, lift up, and hugging it close to your belly button as you can. If you want, and if you can, take that foot into the crook of your elbow, hugging it even closer. And let's go ahead. We're going to bring that foot down into the groin, near the groin, lifting up tall, turning our torso towards the long leg, walking our fingertips forward, but not rounding the spine. So this is my leg that does not have the same amount of flexibility, so it might not look like I even moved, but I feel this all up my hamstring and through to my hip. So practice compassion where you can. Really listen to your body, but recognize when it's your body just saying, ugh, do I have to? Versus your body saying, okay, woman, man, whoever you are, stop it, because we're going to end up in the hospital. So listen between the difference. Now go ahead, forward fold as far down as you can. Relaxing the back of your neck. Relax your shoulders if you can. Sometimes when body feels tension and stress, it's not that easy, but just use your exhales. Releasing the tension in your body with each exhale. Relax your jaw. And let's slowly walk our hands back in and all the way up. Let's take our legs out to the side again and give ourselves a wiggle, because wiggling's good. I like us a wiggle. And now from here, classical saw and Pilates turns into our stretch. So take the arms out, right hand is going to reach across towards the left, while the left shoulder rotates inwards and reaches back and behind. Create a stretch and twist here. Bring it back up and switch sides. And come back up. We're going to come all the way onto our back. Take a moment to sway the knees side to side. And notice where your body feels this. There is no right or wrong for some of this. It's really just noticing what your body feels, because every body is beautifully unique. So right now for me, I'm feeling this kind of in this lower part of my back, kind of just above my bum cheeks. Not so much my hip flexors today, which is interesting, but that's, again, it's an observation without judgment, something that is not easy to do. Let's go ahead, bring the knees in towards your chest. You can give yourself a hug. One hand on each knee. Circle the knees around and away from each other. And you can even change directions, playing around with what feels good in your body. And let's go ahead, slide our hands down our shins, reach towards our feet, finding a happy baby pose. Now this means we're not trying to do the splits. Our knees are bent at about 90 degrees. Our heels are pressing to the sky, and we're pushing our tailbone and our hips down, and we're pulling to the floor with our shoulder blades. Keeping our gaze to the sky. I do like to rock side to side. It feels good. Just be warned, if you get really enthusiastic about this, you will kind of fall over and roll over. Kind of feels like a poor turtle, on its back. But get a little silly with it. Maybe extending one leg, maybe playing around. Bring the feet together, closer. Take a few moments and listen to what your body needs in this particular space. Maybe it's just twisting. Don't forget to breathe through these movements. And then take a moment. Bring your hands to your belly. Feeling your breath move from the crown of your head down to your toes and back up again. Rocking your head a little side to side. Acknowledge the strength, the resilience, and the mobility that you brought to your body tonight. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, circle them around and down. Hug those knees in. And go ahead, rock yourself forward and back till you come seated again. And thank you for joining me for a Fusion Strong class. Have an awesome rest of your day.